Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Rapid Recap here at Inside Nebraska. Before we get going, I encourage you guys to like this video, subscribe to the Inside Nebraska YouTube channel, get all these videos dropped directly into your feed, and all of our exclusive analysis, recruiting coverage from Tim here, and all of our press conference videos of Matt Rule, Dana Holgorsen, Tony White, Dylan Raiola, and all the players that met with the media today on Tuesday for the regular game week press conference for Nebraska, Iowa on Black Friday. With me as always is Tim Verghese. I'm Zack, Carpenter. Tim, what's the trophy called? What's the trophy called for Nebraska,
man, you're putting
Iowa?
me on the spot.
The Heroes Trophy.
Heroes Trophy.
I got the Wisconsin and the Iowa one mixed up because it's the Freedom Trophy between Nebraska and Wisconsin, which I didn't even know that there was a trophy. But last time that Nebraska traveled to Iowa was in 2022, and Trey Palmer went off for all the yards and 2 touchdowns against Iowa. And Mickey Joseph and Casey Thompson, Trey Palmer all went into Kinnick Stadium and took one from the Hawkeyes on an hour before kickoff. The new head coach Matt Rule was the news started leaking from the national media. The agents hit the group text, and the news started leaking out. And now, fast forward 2 years later, Nebraska's going to a bowl game. So thoughts on that? Kick it off.
Yeah.
The difference between the fact that they're going into Iowa for once where they know it's not going to be the last game of the season. And they know that they're not fighting for a bowl game.
For sure. I think more than anything, like compared to last year and even this year, like I just think that a lot of that stress is off. And you could feel that today, just talking to the players, talking to the coaches, talking to Matt Rule yesterday. Like I think there's a little pressure off of just like, okay, we've got that 6th win. We're going to get to a bowl game. There's going to be those 15 extra practices. And this is a winnable game for them, so they can kind of attack it and kind of not in a loose way, like obviously locked in, but just in like, okay, the world is not on the table here. Like this is going to make or break our season. If we win, so be it. If not,
And I think I know what you're saying,
yeah.
But it's not like if we lose to Iowa, it's no big deal. They obviously give a.
Oh yeah, you could
tell.
They
give a lot of
right.
They give a care. We'll say that. I didn't want to cuss, and then we have to change things up, have to throw in a censor or something, but they care about this game. But that is something that I've been touching on and thinking about all season. I said it on the Kings of the North podcast I went on with Doug Maurice that covers the Big Ten back to preview Nebraska, Indiana, and I thought they would lose the game to Indiana. I thought they would lose to Ohio State. Obviously, thought they would beat UCLA. I thought they were going to finish 9-3 because I thought if they get that 6th win, once they get that win, then this pressure valve gets released, and then they could just go play and not be thinking about it, not have this monkey on their back, not have this cloud hanging over them. So I'm sort of excited to see if we'll be able to see that on Friday with the new OC in charge for his 3rd game and get some continuity.
For sure, and listening to him talk today about kind of his plans for the offense and what the changes he's made. It's obvious to see, they played loose on Saturday. I think it's obvious or it should be expected they're going to play loose again on Friday just because he's made things easier for them.
Yeah, it's the simplicity of it. That's what we anticipated when Dana Holgorsen took over, and that's what's happened. I mean, you heard him talk today, and if you always have to read between the lines with any press conference, even with a straight shooter like Dana Holgorsen, you sort of read through and like, okay, he said that. Okay, he said that. Sort of the Brian Windhorst doing the connections here. And he's talking about the collaborating with the current staff. He came in here, and today he admitted it was a really rocky start. He was just like, man, it was like he responded to one question like, man, that's understating it. Like it was pretty much insane. He didn't use the word insane, but he was talking about how rocky it was. He sort of gave us a peek behind the curtain of that week and how hectic it was. Now even the coaches are looking at him like, what the hell is this guy doing here? That's the impression Dana got. But then he was like, credit to them, man. They stepped up. They were just like, all right, what's next? Like, how do we get on board? Tell us what you need from us. And they collaborated, and you saw some examples during the USC game, and then you saw many more on Saturday against Wisconsin, whether it's 3 receivers over to the left and then running it with a pulling guard to the right, and you pick up how 10, 20 yards chunk play. I mean, I think they had 12 explosives against Wisconsin, and it was like 8 8 pass, 4 run, or 8 run, 4 pass. I can't remember the balance of it, but it's like, wow, you saw the consistency and explosiveness. I think they only had 1 negative play against Wisconsin, and they only had 1 3 and out, and the other 2 they had a fumble after 2 plays, and then the kneel downs at the end of the game and field goal at the end of the half. So you saw consistency, fluidness from this offense. I'm rambling here, but I can't remember what the point I was going to make about Dana's offense. The reading between the lines part of it. He talked about how Garrett McGuire is an NFL guy, Donovan Raiola is an NFL guy, Satterfield is an NFL guy, and they have all these different things that they brought from the pro game, and he was essentially saying, yeah, let's cut all that out and keep it really simple. There's one play sheet, and that's what he calls off of, and we saw it. We're going to see it again, I think, against Iowa, the simplicity of it, of running an actual college offense.
Yeah, and it makes things easier for Dylan Raiola. It makes things easier for the line. We saw that on Saturday. The line kind of understands their assignment play to play. Receivers, again, simplifying things for them. They mentioned Jakori Barney only playing one position now rather than lining up at all 3. Again, it's a lot to put on a freshman's plate, whether even someone like Dylan or Jakori, who are high performers for freshmen and have exceeded, somewhat exceeded expectations for freshmen. It's still a lot on their plate, and it's like, okay, down the line, yeah, we can open up the playbook. I think the idea is down the line, we can open up the playbook for Dylan. But right now, Nebraska needs to win games, and the best way to do that is get the playmakers the ball in space, run the football, keep things simple, but make it complicated for the defense in the sense of let's line up in unbalanced formations. Let's like a lot of eye candy motions, whip those yo-yo motions, touch passes. Like get the ball to the playmakers in creative ways. I think the strategy now from the offensive staff, from Dana Holgorsen down, is, let's create explosives. Let's have fun. Let's not, let's overload the freshman players in this young offense that's trying to find an identity with all these different checks and all these different, okay, if this happens, you do this. If this happens, you do this. Don't make it a checkbox. Just be like, okay, you drop back 3 steps. If this read isn't there, you throw it here, or you check it down here. Keep it simple.
It seems like to me, I mean, you know more of the X's and O's than I do. 21 games of the Satterfield experience was pro style, too complicated, maybe not too complicated, but just a lot. Whether it's the length of the play call that, like in the huddle, that the quarterback has to recite. 21 games of that, and it feels like to me that Dana Hogerson came in and said, throw most of that philosophy out the window. Let's run a college offense.
He straight up said they had a large playbook that he's cut down a good bit. And you can, in retrospect, it's like, okay, they had a really large playbook. That's possibly part of the reason why they haven't been able to find an offensive identity over those 21 games, because they're calling so many things across so many different formations and from so many different backgrounds and schemes. You don't really know what this offense is supposed to be. Now you have an idea of what they want to be and what they're looking to be.
And what they have is a freshman quarterback who's turned into a star. They have a freshman receiver who's turning into a star. I mean, as the preemptive Jakori Barney podcast, hype podcast, whether it's bold predictions, I think either you, me, or Steve every week, whether it's written or in our bold predictions video, it's like you have to hit the Jakori Barney quota, where one of us has a Barney related BP. And just peek behind the curtain into the Inside Nebraska Slack files, as the classified Inside Nebraska Slack files. Shout out Greg Smith. We used to always talk about that. And we were talking yesterday, 2 days ago, about Jakori Barney, who was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week. And then one of our subscribers on the Insiders board at InsideNebraska.com, great site, encourage you guys to check it out. He said he compared Barney to Deebo Samuel, and we were talking about, no, that's 40 pounds, 45-pound difference. And then Tim chimes in, 20 minutes later, Tim comes in, he's like, honestly, the best comparison is honestly probably Tank Dell. You didn't say probably, you said it is Tank Dell. And then Dana today was asked about Jakori Barney, and he just he pauses, he's like, yeah, he's more like a, I don't even want to say it, but I mean, he compares to Tank Dell to me, and I just looked up like a dog who you just said the word treat, you said it. It's like Tank Dell. So Tim, go off, King.
Yeah, no.
Anything you want to say about Jakori Barney and Tank Dell comparison?
No, he's fun. And, like, that's the thing. I saw Tank Dell at Houston. I've got to see him in some training sessions as well because he trains with people I know down there. And it's the movement ability. These guys, both guys from Florida, both guys, like, slide a frame, but play bigger than their frame. Not in the sense that they can go outside their frame and, you know, they play bigger than, like, 6'1", and can go up and get passes. It's like, okay, these guys can withstand contact. These guys can run through contact. These guys can take handoffs and stuff out of the backfield and do some stuff in space. And they're incredibly twitchy. Like, both of those guys are very crafty route runners, really like, they move like, the best way to say is like video game characters. It's like they're controlled by a joystick.
Bendy.
Yeah, and you can see it. Like, you can see when Jakori Barney's running. You can see when Tank Dell's running. They just ooze twitch. Like, you can see when a guy has it, and Barney has it. Like, and so I'm excited to see kind of what this pairing looks like in the future. You know, I tweeted it over the weekend, but, like, yeah, it's one of those things where you would ideally like to pair Dana Holgorsen and Jakori Barney up for another 2 seasons at least, because those two guys, I mean, like this is what Dana has success with, these type of playmakers. Tavon Austin, dating back to West Virginia. It's these type of dynamic playmakers that can contribute in so many different ways off manufactured touches and give you plus productions as route runners and running routes downfield. And the most impressive part about Jakori Barney to me, it's not that he's winning outside. He's winning across the middle. It's these posts, it's these crossers. It's like he's willing to run across the middle, meet a linebacker deep down there, meet a safety that's for sure trying to lay him out, and he's more than willing to just take that contact.
He's a tough South Florida kid with South Florida speed, and he's a football player.
Player.
I mean, you heard Dana talking about it the first press conference where he was talking about big receivers and blocking. He's like, and 17, he's not a big kid, but yeah, he's a tough football player. And I think you're starting to see sort of the falling in love process between Dana and Barney.
Yeah.
He had
he's not referring to by number anymore. It's like, oh, I know that guy's name.
that was the final point, and then we'll get out of here, was that you did see, clearly Holgerson is getting more familiar with the players, the personalities, and he's mentioned them by name now. I mean, extra week, you're getting familiar with them, and then he was talking about, like, he's a great kid. I don't remember which player exactly he was talking about, but you started seeing that side of him, like, okay, he's getting more comfortable, and will the Dana Holgorsen experience last for 3 regular season games, no bowl, 3 regular season games and a bowl game, and that's it? Will he be around next year? We don't know. It's hilarious because he kept answering questions about that, his future, kept getting asked at the press conference, and those questions do deserve to be asked. Like, they should be asked. But it was funny to me where he's just clearly like, man, I don't know. He just seems like a guy who's very, like, laser focused, very horse blinders, to where I'm just focused on football.
I'm just focused on Iowa. Yeah. But yeah, like, he didn't know. Like, he was like asked about future plans. They asked him, and I think he said, he's like, I'm taking Saturday off. That's the only thing he knows about his future so far.
After Iowa.
After what? And after, I mean, he mentioned last week he's been pulling 85-hour type weeks, like crazy hours in a day. I just think that's kind of what he needs at this point. And then I think for most the fans around here, the players around here, they'd like to keep him around, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. It's been 2 games, 2-game sample size, a lot to figure out. Are you gonna do you have dibs on Barney for bowl predictions?
I don't think so. No. You got it.
Wow. I want it. If you don't want it, I don't want it. So
we'll give it to Steve.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, I'm sure he'll.
If I'm not making a Jakori Barney prediction, you're not making a Jakori Barney prediction. No.
Steve's going to. He's got to. He's got to take the torch on that. But speaking of bold predictions, we'll be back on the Inside Nebraska YouTube channel on Wednesday or Thursday. I think we might switch the schedule up a little earlier. I haven't decided yet, to be quite honest. But you could watch that on the Inside Nebraska YouTube channel. You can watch the Nebraska Football Show with Steve and Tim, and Recruiting Blitz, Black Shirt Breakdown with former Husker Jay Foreman. Do a film analysis of Nebraska, Wisconsin, what went right for the Huskers, what impressed him the most. Again, go to InsideNebraska.com. Check out all of our written coverage on the Huskers. So for Tim Verghese, I'm Zack Carpenter. We'll catch you guys again next time.